an adjective, which is to say I'm thinking about just as right, as fair, as honorable, as a kind of value to which we might aspire. And this seems to be timely at this particular moment, because one of the things that we know is that browsing is something that means something, it's a term that means something different now than it used to mean. I should say I grew up inside when I was a browser. That's really not the case anymore. To browse meant to kind of look at something kind of casually in a store. That's really not what we are talking about anymore. Now we're talking about something that looks more like this. Yeah, right? No dumb. Big crap. That's what Gene said, at least. The thing about it is that browsers aren't people anymore, right? Browsers are programs. And the key thing for me is to keep in mind that they're not just programs that let us access information and content online. They're actually programs that let other content providers access us and users specifically. And this is not uncommon. In fact, in almost any other previous medium, such as radio or television, when you take away the possibility of a tangible good being exchanged, the new commodity is the audience, right? The new commodity is the users who interact with that medium. And that's certainly the case now online. That when we're browsing, our information is moving through a lot of different places constantly. And, sorry, you can see what everyone else is having this experience. I'm just going to bypass it altogether. Or not, you know, whatever it takes, really. You know how to display. You find it. What's that? I know, right? There we go. All right, so while I'm talking, you can watch this. This is essentially a visualization of the new tracking cookies being logged on my browser over the course of a whopping 3 minutes of indiscriminate browsing through basic sites, YouTube, the New York Times, CNN, ESPN. And what you're really seeing here is the addition of new tracking cookies in the form of any circle that actually has a logo that you can recognize. And the lines that are connecting to other circles means that they're reporting to third-party ad agencies or site analytic agencies, simply to let them know that I've visited the site. But as soon as they do that, they're actually also reporting information about every other site I visited during that session and until I delete those cookies. So when we talk about browsing, it's really a phenomenal state of information exchange, but it's predominantly a one-sided affair. What's really astonishing is this circle right in the middle, the little green, it's hard to see. I don't even know, there's the laser right there. That's double-click. Double-click is the reason why Google up there looks like it's got clean hands. Google's like, oh, I'm not sending your data anywhere, but I bought DoubleClick, and everybody sends their information to DoubleClick. So, yeah, we own you. Do no evil. Thanks, Google. Blast past that. So why is it then that we have tracking on our browsers? And the thing is, there are many different reasons. I'm going to talk about a couple, the ones that are more visible. The others will become more visible even still later. Unsurprisingly, this has a lot to do with copyright, which is really a fancy way, or a polite way of saying this, with privacy, because of all of you who steal everything online. So thanks for that. We know because the NPA told us that we wouldn't steal a car. Why should we steal movies? It might be interesting to know that copyright from way back when has always been concerned with pirates. Don't know why the pirate is the way to go here, but that's, I guess ninjas weren't big yet. But even in its best version, it always presupposed that we were up to no good. And it was a mechanism honorable in its principle to allow people to earn a living off of their creativity and their innovativeness, but it did presuppose that we were going to steal it and try to make money off of our sell. If you boil it down to the really simple essence of the thing, copyright is the right to copy, period. New technologies come along, makes it easier to produce and distribute content. Problem is, it also makes it easier to reproduce and redistribute content. When a new technology comes along that collides with the spirit of the law as the law is written, historically, technology wins. If it didn't, we would all have had, your parents would have had video cassette players instead of video cassette recorders, because when Sony was sued by the movie industry over the Betamax, the courts found in favor of Sony and said, there's really nothing constitutionally wrong, there's no crime being committed by allowing somebody to sleep through the last half hour of the Late Show. And if that's going to end your business, you need a better business model. Times have changed, and things are indeed a little different. If you don't know about DRM, then I apologize for what's coming. Really, one of the key parts of digital copyright is doing digital rights management, which is, in many ways, simply put or captured as copyrighting the right to copy. Digital rights management essentially technologizes copyright and copyrights technology, but it is much more aggressive, intrusive, mean-spirited, etc., than previous analog models of copyright. Here's an example. We all live with DRM. We very rarely put up a fight. Here's the map of a global economy, expressed in the 6 DVD regions. Don't know why South Africa isn't part of Africa. Don't know why Mexico isn't part of North America when you're buying DVDs, but what you see is you see the globe and the history of race and empire. Though the MPA wouldn't describe it this way, but the equivalent here is that if you buy a book at the airport, at the Logan Airport bookstore, and you fly to France, and you get off the airplane in Paris, and find that suddenly the book has been completely rearranged and scrambled, and the words no longer make sense. You have to buy the same book again in Paris, in region 2. Right? This is what they're doing with DVDs, because DRM allows them to do it. And the really nice thing about this is it totally inverts a major principle of American jurisprudence, which is that it presumes you're guilty, which is nice. It also basically limits how you can use devices that you legally own, how and what sort of content you can use, when, with whom, perhaps. That's probably a good thing for some of you. DRM is the sort of thing that people want to jailbreak their phones and iPads over, right? It's the sort of thing that causes people like Affected by Design to say this is an elegant, beautiful machine, but it's something that the user will never completely own outright because it's locked up. I want to give you a sense of the stakes of why I'm talking about the relationship here between their copyrights and our privacy. Take 3 months in 2010, the last 3 months to be precise, October, November, December 2010, and this is right around the time the iPhone 4 is released, and things are looking good at Apple. Those 3 months, 90 million iPhones had been sold up to that point, 16 million of them in those 3 months alone. 4 children born on planet Earth every second for 3 months. It's a lot. Do the math. 2 iPhones were sold. 2.5 iPods were sold. In other words, basically, sorry for the yellow, but the ratio of newborns to Apple handheld devices for those 1 to 1.125. As a result, starting pretty much about 2 weeks ago, March 15th, March 12th, about that time, the Apple market capitalization at $550 billion, that's the gross domestic product of Switzerland if you're keeping score at home, and that they had cash on hand, essentially, that was greater than the sum total of every retail company that sells an Apple product combined. Which leads us, of course, to the Pirate Bay. The Pirate Bay, some of you probably know. Oh, come on, some of you definitely know the Pirate Bay. But think of it as an organization or a clearinghouse that puts users in touch with one another to share files in certain ways, perhaps not legally. The Pirate Bay is not a safe harbor, right? Pirates aren't safe. Any harbor they're in, not a safe one. But safe harbor is an important term for you all to know, and it will help you understand why the Pirate Bay is called the Pirate Bay, and why safe harbors are called safe harbors, because safe harbors are an important provision of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act, and it says to internet service providers, we won't prosecute you if you help us prosecute you, right? We won't take you as companies to court and sue you as long as you help us get information about all the people who are getting, who are exchanging files illegally. Here you see one ship attacking another. One of them is a naval ship. The other is not a naval ship. It looks like a pirate ship. It's not. It's a privateer. Who knows privateer? Does anyone know this word? What is a privateer?
They're like private companies and sailors that aren't parts of the national pirate title.
Yeah, who are legally allowed to open fire on enemy ships, take their stuff and keep it. They're pirates with permission. They help governments without big navies sink other navies' boats and then take their booty. Wanted to say booty. Astonishingly similar to pirates, they just have permission. So, I wish I could claim credit for this one, but someone else did it. Anyway, like digital rights management, the interesting thing is that tracking our every move on the web essentially starts to equate privacy and piracy in ways that they really don't need to be equated, but that have harmful long-term consequences for us. You can see that there's already this enshrined relationship here between a safe harbor and a ship. And in case you don't know that logo, it's on the seal of the United States Department of Commerce, which is also nice. The thing about how all this works is to keep in mind that digital content providers, internet service providers, get more from us than we get from them. A lot more. What you're seeing here is measured in exabytes. Exabytes are 1,000 petabytes, petabytes are 1,000 terabytes, terabytes are 1,000 gigabytes. It's a lot of bytes. This one up here is like 8 yottabytes or something. Not yotta, something, I don't know, zettabytes. It's a lot. It's a lot of data, and we give it to them. In large part because businesses embrace Web 2.0 philosophy, which is to say that it is warming to the fact that we can all influence one another through social contact online. If you're not familiar with Web 2.0 as a phrase, think about it as largely peer-to-peer instead of client-to-server. It's more bottom-up and top-down, and generally refers to all of the kinds of behaviors, the participatory behaviors of groups interacting with one another. Very rarely in illegal ways, if you think about all the very legal ways that we do. But for some reason, there's an obsession with the ways in which illegal content happens to be exchanged through file sharing. Pardoning, for instance, the fact that Wikipedia would be a good example of totally legal Web 2.0 behavior. This brings us to the crowd. Nice little tool Facebook made available to me in exchange for me telling Facebook I know it exists still. Here is a visualization of my Facebook network. They represent one crowd among many crowds on Facebook, and anytime I like something, some of them are going to hear about it. But the crowd sometimes is a threat, because if I don't like something, they might hear about it too. So the crowd gives us one paradigm of what's coming, the cloud gives us another. There's a safety in having all of our content in one ethereal place off-site. In fact, every time you hear about the post-PC era, the end of our laptops and the rise of the tablet, think about how what was an input-output device over there became primarily an output device here, a nice shiny window into a nice world where I can buy stuff and look at stuff, but I have lost my hands. I can't put information in the same way. but I can get it anywhere, what's there. Which gets us back to the wheel. Another reason about tracking is we track for your safety, for my safety, which is cool, because somebody could be watching you. The thing to keep in mind is it's not identity theft, because we give it away for free. That's it. We give it away for free all the time. What did these guys get? All right, here's one example. Facebook in 2011, they don't have to report their earnings, but the figure that's usually used. 800 million users in 2011, $1.5 billion in ad revenue generated, $1.88 per us. I know what you're saying. Does it matter? Think about all the times you're asked to give information about what you like and what you don't like. That's one mode of sharing. This is the mode people are worried about, okay? That we might share more than what we like, but we might actually share what we like as the content instead of the sentence. If we start to break this down by numbers, it's interesting to see what we share and how we share it. And one of the interesting things up here is that all of the things that are strongly copyright protected, we share socially rather than through email or something like that. So there's a very strong incentive to promote this sort of behavior and to have us keep feeding the machine. If you want to get a sense of this, keep in mind that Facebook in 2011 represented the one site that people spent. Does anyone want to guess what percentage of all time spent on the internet in 2011 was taken up on Facebook? It's a big internet. Don't give me like 40%. But seriously, like what percentage? No, that's a big internet. It's like 16%, but that means 60% of all the time that the 2 billion people online are online, they're on Facebook. And another 11% are on a Google site, probably YouTube. So nearly a third of that time, 2 sites on the whole big internet. But they dwarf everything else in terms of social networking. And if you want to get an interesting statistic, think about this. They put out 1.3 billion ads, dwarfing everyone else. Why does this matter? Because you're worth something to them, specifically through Facebook, Twitter, and bookmarking. You're giving information to everybody with the cookie diagram who's finding out what you like and how to sell it back to you, or at least its first cousin. Now here's why this is interesting. The trend online for online advertising is to move away from what we would call impression-based ads. That's, I saw it. Instead they want performance-based ads. Prove to me that someone clicked on my ad and I will pay for it. Well, to prove that, they have to watch us even more closely. And they are. The nice thing about it, and here's where you come in, the younger you are, the more comfortable you are with this. Right? You would gladly give up some of your privacy in order to get better ads. Just sad, but what can you do? Here's my plan. It's never going to happen. Like, seriously, never. But if any of your parents are attorneys, ask them. Maybe they'll take the case. The thing about copyright is when you write something, it provides a legal protection for original work that's fixed in a tangible form. And that protection is automatic, whether you say it's copyrighted or not. It is. Once it's copyrighted, it protects you from the unauthorized reproduction, adaptation, distribution, public performance, public display of his or your our work. Damn. Got fair use. We all know fair use. That's why we can use images like this in an educational setting. Notice what's not up there, by the way, is making ad revenue. Fair use for factor test, which is really only because I want to hear people say it 10 times fast. Really has to do with, is it a commercial use? They're making money off of us? Yes. So what I would like you to think about is this. You wrote your own browsing history. it's unique to you. It should be copyrighted. Right? And that would mean that monetizing it without your explicit permission should be illegal. And that's really all I got, but I know I'm over my 10 minutes. And so, what I guess I would ask you to think about is A, have you turned off cookies? B, are your parents lawyers that can help? And C, if you download content illegally, I don't have an opinion on that. I just hate that it makes me less anonymous to everyone else because of it. And I think probably you do too. So this isn't like a moral talk about don't download illegally, but at least own your own information or act with it. So anyway, thanks a lot for your attention. Thanks for having me.